The Mystic Witches have a new Second Awakening, and they're dope. Plus, they get to use their staff as a car. So, I want to help you get them. So here are a couple free-to-play teams to help you clear the 2A dungeon in Sacrion. Just like the Vagabonds, the entrance condition for this dungeon is that your team needs to be composed of different elements. So that means that the team composition is going to change a little bit depending on which of the Mystic Witches you're bringing with you. Depending on which Mystic Witch, huh? Wow. If you're starting with Linda, the Light Mystic Witch, then Vertihile as your lead, Veramos, and Vigor is a great place to start. Just like in the Vagabond dungeon, we're going to be using Vertihile's leader skill that's a 28% speed lead in dungeons, and he's presumably still on Trickery runes, so that means he's also your primary damage dealer. Here are the stats that are on mine if you want to take a look, but whatever you got on yours is great. Now, I did find it helpful to have a little bit more HP in these dungeons so that he doesn't get sniped. Usually that's not a problem when you're running Trickery because all the turns are yours, right? So he's never going to get hit. But in this one, he is going to get hit. Now, the other monsters there to mitigate the damage that your Vert is going to take, first off is Veramos, who's once again here to contribute a little bit of damage because his second skill now scales with enemies' max HP. He's your main source of control, and he's going to cleanse one debuff off of every monster at the start of his turn. And that is incredibly helpful because Linda, the Light Mystic Witch, is also the main boss of the level 5 dungeon. So she's going to try to put as many debuffs on your team as possible, so it's helpful to have Veramos there to take turns, runed extra fast, so that way he can keep removing them. And lastly is Vigor. Vigor is going to be the source of defense break on the team. He's also a little extra healing, and he's going to apply anti-crit, which could be the difference between a victory and a failed run in some circumstances. Also, it took me a little while to mention this, but unless otherwise noted, the Mystic Witch that you're taking with you is unruined. If you're going for Megan instead of Linda, then you'll have to replace Vigor with something. You can keep the Vert and the Veramos, but that also opens up a light monster for you. So in this case, I'm going to recommend that you bring Lauren as your source of defense break, slow, and attack bar control. She's going to be runed the fastest on the team so that she can set up the damage dealers in Veramos and Vert. Now it should be noted that in the gameplay that you're seeing behind me, my Megan did have some runes on her. She wasn't fully runed. I don't think she needs to be runed either, but it was just gonna... Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was gonna cost me a lot of mana to take all those runes off of Megan, and I didn't want to do that. I don't think your Megan needs runes. Just know that mine had them, but it's not because they need them, it's just because she had them. Does that make sense? Because it made sense to me. If you're going for Gina, the Dark Mystic Witch instead, then you can use Vert as your lead still, you can take out Veramos and put in Fran, and then as your last unit, you can bring Vigor back. The team comp here is very similar. Vigor is going to be your source of defense break, your Fran is going to move to attack buff your Vert, and your Vert is going to do all the damage in the world and also cycle through turns to make sure that you're doing way more damage. Now, if you find that you're lacking in the DPS department and you happen to have a Kaki lying around, I've heard people say that Kaki is great in this dungeon, though I did use Verd in my runs. So that's your main team foundations, but you can also add in some substitutes. Riley is known for adding stability wherever she goes. If you happen to have a Savannah as well, she's a bit of a cheat code in some of these dungeons, as long as you're not trying to awaken the wind element Mystic Witch. Also, throwing a Galleon into AoE defense break and apply a attack buff on everybody can potentially speed up your runs like crazy, but it does add in a level of variance, and also I wanted to keep this video free to play. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry guys. And before I go, I wanted to leave you with the monster stats of the teams being used to clear level 5 of the Mystic Witch dungeon. And if you guys have any recommendations for how you cleared and Second Awakened your Mystic Witch of choice, please leave them in a comment down below. It'll probably help a lot of people out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped, and enjoy the new Mystic Witch 2A.